To the City of Perris Planning Commission meeting, November 17, 2021, at 6:05 p.m., and we ask that our clerk take the official roll.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Gomez,
Here.
Vice Chair Shively,
Here.
Chair Hammond.
Here. Thank you, and at this time we'll have a brief moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Gomez. And in the meantime, why don't we just stand anyway?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't believe there's a presentation, so we'll move on to item 6, consent calendar. I would ask if are there any corrections or deletions or anything from our commission staff at this time? Okay, usually isn't, so. This time we open it up for public comment for consent calendar, and I'll faint the day I see one, but at this time there's no public comment on the consent calendar, so we're ready to take a vote. We have a motion by Vice Chairman Shively and seconded by Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5 yes, this motion passes.
At this time, we have 7A public hearing. Ordinance Amendment 21-05223. A General Plan Amendment 21-05224. And Specific Plan Amendment 21-05225. A proposal to comprehensively update the truck route designations and regulations in the municipal code, General Plan, and Perris Valley Commerce Center Specific Plan, in order to establish consistency and enabled enforcement. The applicant is the City of Perris. Requested action, excuse me, is adopt Resolution 21-22, recommending the City Council adopt Mitigated Negative Declaration 2364 and approve the following amendments to the truck route regulations. Ordinance Amendment number 21-05223 to the Perris Municipal Code section. General Plan Amendment number 21-05224 to the City of Perris Circulation Element, and Specific Plan Amendment 21-05225 to the Perris Valley Community Commerce Center Specific Plan. We've been introduced with memorandum dated November 17, 2021 from the Development Services Department. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's from Candida Neal, planning consultant, truck route amendments and amendments and exhibits, and we want to introduce that to our discussion. It has Exhibit A, and I think we all have copies of it. I think everyone has a copy. Okay. I don't need to read all that. We'll be here all night. Right? Thank you. And with that, we have Candida back. Welcome back.
Good evening,
Good
Chairman
evening.
Hammond and fellow planning commissioners. It's good to be back and talking to you tonight about Perris truck routes. As
Favorite, I
you know, Perris truck routes are regulated by 3 different parts of government. So we have the municipal code, we have the circulation element, and then for North Perris, we also have the Perris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. And right now, this project is looking at only the truck routes in that north area, which is generally above Placentia. So what we're looking for, but these three documents don't match. So what we're looking to do is to get consistent truck routes. And we're looking to, by doing that, we're hoping to protect our commercial and residential corridors and neighborhoods and be able to have enforceable regulations, because there's some awkwardness that with the regulations themselves in terms of how we're going to enforce them. And generally, the roadway network is that we've looked at, and we're working very closely with the engineering department. And as you'll see, Stuart McKibben is here tonight, and he is our city engineer, and he and John have worked very closely together with the planning department to come up with these truck routes that we're talking about now. And as you can see on the image on the screen, the major idea is to eliminate the truck routes on Perris Boulevard and Ramona Expressway. And then the backbone of the north-south traveling goes along I-215 with two connections to I-215. Harley Knox connects you east on an east-west direction, and then Placentia Avenue on the south also connects. Now, we recognize that at this point the Placentia Avenue on-ramp is not open, but we have looked at it in terms of, moving forward, and it will be open, I believe, in a year and a half from now. So we're looking at the present and at the future. And it was designed such that all of the parcels that are in this North Perris arrow, and those blue arrows are, pointing how you could get to a street that's a designated truck route, or by either using a designated truck route or connecting with one of these industrial neighborhood streets. So the industrial neighborhood streets like Weber or Brennan. So as you can see, you can pretty much negotiate throughout this area using just these streets. The first item that we're going to discuss is the Ordinance Amendment, which is the Perris Municipal Code 1040, and that code section itself has a section specific to it that designates the truck routes, and there is no list per se. There's a list per se. There's no map in the code, but what we have here, the map on your right, is the designated truck routes in the municipal code. And this is a little different from the one that you saw in the staff report. And it was included in the attached memo that was on the dais tonight before you. And this explains it in a little bit more detail. What you see here is the blue routes are routes that are going to be added. And anytime I talk about routes, I'm saying, well, it may not have to be added to the municipal code, or the specific plan, but it may not be in the circulation element. So it's just a general look. This is what we call the composite map that helps us give an idea of what we're doing here. And one of the things that came up with this is that, so you have these yellow designations, or what is going to be removed, and then the blue ones are things that are going to be added, including, which is not shown on this map, 215. So 215 will be a truck route in all of our designations, but this is the municipal code map, and this is what we're looking at right now. Okay, and in the municipal code, we're also looking at truck weights That was a text thing. There was a discrepancy in there. Sometimes we talk about 3-ton trucks, sometimes we talk about 5-ton trucks. And in talking with the people that enforce the code, our sheriff's officers and our code enforcement officers, they both said 5 tons is the industry standard, and that's what we need to go with. So we're changing it to 5 tons in the references where they were originally 3. So it will be consistent throughout that municipal code. The other thing we're doing, and this was at the request of the enforcement people, is we worked with the city attorney's office. Currently, when someone violates the truck route ordinance, the officers can only write a violation that's a misdemeanor. That's what our code says. It says it's a misdemeanor, and that's a pretty heavy deal. You can go to jail for it. The fines are steeper, and there's also a bit awkward administrative process. So you have to go to court. And sometimes from a city's perspective, when we're going to court, and it can be it can be difficult to recover your costs. So the other options are infraction, which is it has lesser fees associated with it. You can't go as high with a misdemeanor, but these fees are set by the state. So we don't really have any, whether it's an infraction or a misdemeanor, they're set by the state. We don't really have any jurisdiction over that. And then the third one is an administrative citation. And the officer in the field can decide what is appropriate for the conditions and what's happening on the road, what was done, and if there were any previous violations. So that is going to give them more flexibility in administering the code. And the third is a provision that's called the responsible party enforcement option. And it was something that we added to the municipal code several months back to help code enforcement. And what it says in a code enforcement case is if you cite somebody and if you cite a tenant over and over for illegal parking or signage or just not maintaining their property, or even an illegal use, you just get frustrated and they give you the runaround, they're not doing anything, they're not moving forward. You can go ahead and you can cite the property owner. You can say that it's not just the business owner that's the responsible party. It's the building owner. It's, so you can cite other people as well. So in this case, it might be the responsible party might be, it's a fleet of trucks, so it might be, or maybe somebody also owns the truck, and they're, so there may be other responsible parties that are affecting the driver's behavior. So in this case, we would be able to exercise that as well. For the general plan amendment, and this map again, this is showing, you can see the roadway segments. We'll be looking at removing we're removing Ramona Expressway, and we're removing Perris Boulevard, and then adding the 215 freeway, as well as Harley Knox Boulevard. There was a little segment of Harley Knox Boulevard which was not designated a truck route, and that was the connecting part, the truck ramp itself onto the freeway. So that's the part that we're going to be adding in there. It's kind of funny, you see it on the map. It's a blue line. It's like, wow. And and again, I also want to talk to you about the circulation element. Talks a little bit about the truck weight limits, but in the one of the things in the circulation element that they do talk about in particular is delivery and pickup provisions. And those provisions in there were different from what's in the Perris Municipal Code. And they kind of reference into it, they say go back to it. Well, the Perris Municipal Code says that we can allow trucks to go on streets that, maybe commercial streets, if they're delivering something to Target and that's the only way to get there. Or if if I'm remodeling my house and the only way to get the new girders in or whatever has to come to my house, or the only way to get the roof shingles on top. So we do have provisions for that, so that's something that you should be aware of. The citation is for if you're not on a truck, you have to be on a truck route unless you're going to some place that you would be making a delivery or pickup. Again. And, okay. And then the last ordinance amendment that we have is the Perris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. And that one is really the most up to date. Perris Boulevard was not included in, does need to be removed from that, but Ramona Expressway was not included in it. So Perris Boulevard will need to be removed, and we will need to add the 215 in there to be consistent. In terms of text amendments, we also have to follow up with those as well, and that's revising the list of truck routes and removing some introductory language that sort of referenced back to the code. So we did look at CEQA. CEQA was done for this. An initial study was prepared for it and determined that there was no potential for significant impact. We did circulate it because it was not a project of regional significance. We circulated it for 20 days, and from October 13th to November 2nd, and no comments were received during that period. And then, so before you tonight is, we do have a motion to approve. We're recommending that you approve this project. What we're asking you to look at two things. One, on the dais tonight, we gave you a revised resolution for not for the Planning Commission, but for a revised ordinance for the adoption tonight. And it's Exhibit 1A, which is that first exhibit. It's the draft City Council ordinance that would be approving the municipal code amendment. And it includes a complete list of the designated truck routes in it for section 10040.02B. So the complete list is there. It's shown in your attachment. And that was also included in your staff report as well as this presentation tonight. So we have multiple places where it was made available to the public. The second is we did revise Exhibit 2A, the circulation element designated truck route map. So that was also revised to be correct and complete with what we have. So based on those two things, staff is ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. And at this time, are there any questions of staff? I'm sure there may be some, but we can go whatever direction you want to go.
Just to clarify, this composite map that you gave us, that's an overlay of the general plan and the municipal code, or commercial?
General plan, all three.
All
The
three?
general plan, municipal code, and the specific plan. And so perhaps one of the items might have been in the general plan, but if it wasn't in the other two documents, it would still be shown as added.
Okay.
Or removed as appropriate.
Okay, perfect.
I do want to just quickly elaborate that we're, what Ms. Kennedy just said, we're focusing on the north end. There is other aspect on the south end, and we're going to work on that shortly after this and take back and address some of those issues on the south end of the city. So I just want to let you know, for your understanding, there's other aspects you might see that you would think may get amended, should get amended, but we will address that at a follow-up hearing, hopefully in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So that would be amending the resolution?
No,
No.
I think there's some, I'm just going to throw out one street, for example, Evans south of, I believe is Placentia. We would take care of that at a later point because the whole point right now is just to find consistency in the north and address
Right.
our major issues of truck route on Ramona and Perris Boulevard.
Yeah.
But we would address that at a secondary point.
Evans Avenue is in this amendment. It's being removed where it's north of Placentia, where it goes, and then it dips into the little place where it's where it's not city, and then south of it, it's also designated the part that's south, which starts at Nuevo Road and goes down to Ellis, will still be in there. But the good part is that all the industrial stuff is up there, and there's no legal truck route to get down to the area below. So that's the good portion. But Kenneth is correct, yes.
So, Kenneth, Section 3, items 13, 14, 15, Getz Road, Case Road, and Ethnic Road.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't quite catch it.
Those three streets are included to this ordinance. However, they're not on the proposed truck route maps.
No, what streets are you talking, what streets did you say?
That's a red version, Getz Road.
Just to clarify, Vice Chair Shively, you're talking about the ordinance that we just gave to you tonight. You're
Yes.
talking about, on that memo, in that memo,
On the
it's under section, the
Section
changes being
3.
made under section, what is it?
Section 3.
Three of the ordinance in relation to the final 13, 14, 15, referencing Getz Road, Case Road, and Ethanak Road.
The-
And he's saying that's not on the map.
It's not on this map. It's cut
Right.
off- it cuts
No,
off at
it's not.
Evans.
That's not on the map. This is not, because we are only dealing with North Paris tonight.
So I
we
think that-
did, we wanted to give you context for how the changes would relate into it, but we did not, but this is how how it is moving forward. Yes.
So if we're, as a part of this memorandum and the exhibit, so according to this, we are including those three streets into the truck route, not just
No,
northern portion.
anything that is in pink here is not a part of this project, but it's designated in other documents, and it's not addressed in this project. Anything that's in the pink. That would be included in a future amendment. They would be reviewed. Anything south of Placentia would be included in a different amendment.
But they're included in this current one.
Pardon me? But they are truck routes.
They are truck routes.
And they are truck routes, and they will be included in this list. And the reason they're included in this list is they're there now, but we changed the numbers, and the order because we were replacing them. So we replaced the whole section in its entirety. And so that's why they're in red now.
Mr. Shively,
Yes, sir.
or Vice Chair Shively. The exhibit that's shown here is intended as what Ms. Candida said is a composite showing a multiple of the municipal code, the PVCC, and the circulation element. The reference, it should be Exhibit C9, which is part of I don't think it's part of the presentation, but that should reflect the C9 exhibit That's part of the staff report. So I just, I'm not sure that makes it clear, but the,
Figure 5 shows that.
Figure-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a, yeah. It's
Figure
included.
5 doesn't do anything south of it.
It is.
But it's, so not a part of this project here, but it stops at Ellis Avenue. If it's going to be part of the project in the future, should not Ethanac Getz and,
Well, we didn't go down that far. Getz and Case Road are kind of down there at the very bottom, but we only went to, I think we only went to Ellis Road, right? Yeah.
stops, it's.
We just went a
doesn't
little
move.
further south, so we didn't go that far, so.
But it's not, but it's not part of this,
It's not part of this project,
so should it not be listed as not part of this project on the map?
not in the resolution, because it's going to stay there. And so we were just replacing that section entirely because we were doing renumbering so that it would be consistent with the ordinance formatting. So,
You can go, 'cause if you don't, I will. Okay, I think it might be confusing if you look at this, and that's the first thing I saw, because I don't think he has the red portion. If you look at section 3, okay,
section 3 of what?
page 2 of what you handed us, the memorandum,
Right.
in red. Now, it doesn't say will not be a part of or will be amended at a future date. It lists the streets, Evans Road as example, from its northerly city limits at the extension of Orange Street to the intersection with the extension of New Haven Road. Evans Road is completely out of it, going to be completely out of it, but we're showing it here in red as to be amended, or this is a part of it and will be amended at a future date. I guess that's the wording that we don't see.
Okay,
So that's why it
so
was getting confusing, I guess.
Its northerly extension at Orange Road it will be amended at a future date, but we can't put that in the these words are going to be in the municipal code. So we can't put that wording in there.
Okay.
What we've done is, the previous wording said, Evans Road from Ramona Expressway
to Orange.
to Ellis. So it said, it had it going all the way down. And that's what the previous wording said. And now we're rewording it, putting it in this code so that it says just that section. And we probably should, if we wanted to do a strikeout version, the correct strikeout version would have been to have said, I just eliminated that whole section, so I didn't do each of the individual streets. But the change for Evans Road was that it originally said from Ramona Expressway to Ellis Road, and now it's being reduced to from that extension of Nuevo. I believe it's the extension of Nuevo, isn't it? Or is it Orange?
It says from the northerly city limits at the extension of Orange Street.
Yeah, I think it's the extension of Orange Street is where it goes. It goes from Orange Street down to Ellis. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may, to provide some clarity to Vice Chair Shively's question, items 13, 14, 15, that's Getz Road, Case Road, Ethanac Road, those are already existing in the code. So I'm guessing that's why that doesn't show up in the map. We're not making changes to that one. And the only reason why, all we did was renumber it because we took some out, we added some things in, so we had to renumber it and reorder it, basically. So that's why those items aren't showing up. In the current code, I'm looking at it right now, those 3 are in there right now.
They are.
So that's why they're not on the map. We're not making changes to that.
But I'm just, in my, maybe I'm seeing it different, but according to this proposed truck route, we actually list not, and label it in fuchsia, not part of this project. Why can't it not be listed in there as well?
It's not part, because we cut off this project at around Placentia Road, with the exception of the extension, the properties that were adjacent to Perris Boulevard. So because we were taking Perris Boulevard out the whole way, it wasn't, but that's, we wanted to show you how it fit, how things fit together. And we wanted to give you a bigger picture. But in some, I believe we have one image where we just, and maybe it's in the staff report, where this is, I guess this is the image that we're focusing on today. This is the image of the streets that we're focused, this is the area that we're focusing on.
I think the concern is if they're included as listed in this project and not identified, I think the risk is they won't be looked at in the future, or we might have to do something different. So it's just, I guess, the wording or including them as listed there. Although I know we're looking at it differently, the concern is if it's there, maybe next time, you know, if it's overlooked, it could be said, you know, you guys recommended an approval back on
One of the
November
thi-
17th.
You have a couple of options. Okay. You could say, we can't do anything to them now because they weren't included in the CEQA document. So you can't take any action modifying anything that wasn't part of the described project. But one of the things you can do is you can say to the city council, we recommend doing all this, we think this North Perris stuff is really good, but we would like for you to look at these other streets too. And, I mean, you could make that as part of your recommendation. Please adopt this, but we would like for you to consider.
So why wasn't it just included in this package as in the proposed truck route as future?
There, as future, they
be looked at.
currently
Gonna be
are.
reviewed
Yeah,
in the
to-
future.
So future things that you want to delete, is that what you're saying?
No. Like
No.
saying something like section
be
3 and having listed 1 through, 11, and then making a note that 11 to 15 or whatever those numbers are would be looked at a future date when we looked at the South Paris. They are there now, but that they would be looked at in the future, like dividing the section
We
into
can
two.
do that in a recommendation. This is what will be in the municipal code, though. It would not be good form to put that into the municipal code, but it would be good. It is something that we can put into your recommendation to the city council. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that makes it very it would make it, and I think the attorney may want to speak to that. Whether we want to put something like that into the code.
Field the bus.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
We were thinking because it's here already and this is what's going to be recommended even if we made a recommendation at this time. So we're wondering why section 3 could not have been divided into a part A and part B, where part A was part of this project. Part B was going to stand as of now, but will be looked at when we looked at the South region.
Well, I think that's because the staff is focusing primarily on the northern section, and I think that's already their direction to do that already.
Yes, and
So-
I
So
think.
when they come back and they'll fix, I mean, not fix, but they'll make everything consistent. But right now, they're just trying to get something on, I guess what they're trying to do right now is making sure that this circulation works for this situation right now. And in the future, when they come back, then it'll link up appropriately. Does that make sense?
Robert.
Yeah, and
the
then
que-
real
I think-
quickly,
yeah.
then just to add additional
The
segments,
question
there
was
there
the-
have you have to do additional traffic analysis. So
I was about to say.
we wanted to limit and focus on the areas. We understand your feedback, and we do intend to work on the rest. I don't think you necessarily need to put it in the resolution per se, but we understand what needs to happen next, if that makes sense.
In essence, I kind of get it, because you designated certain streets that you only concentrated on the northern part. We're seeing streets on here, obviously Evans's has to be off, but since that wasn't a part of the study, we're going to have to come back, obviously, and deal with that. We have some choices. We can make recommendations to council. They're still going to have to come back and do the study and recommendation for those streets. We know they want to be taken out, but you got to do it the proper way, because it has to match the circulation element, it has to match the municipal code, all those have to match. So if we exclude from one, it has to match with the other elements. So in essence, what we're looking at is what's on the map. So really, in the red, it's going to be completely amended, but it has to stay there now until we come back and take off Evans Road and look at Ethernet, which we don't want to be a truck road. Some of these other areas, Ellis, blah, 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 4th Street or 74, whatever it's called now. So I'm kind of, it's not that, I understand, because the first thing I saw was red.
Yeah.
Why is it still listed here? But in essence, you're only really, there's certain streets that we're really looking at, and this, as part of this parcel access, Morgan, Indian, Highway 215 was added. All the way up and down was one of those things, and taking out Perris Boulevard and Ramon Expressway, I guess, was the concentration for now.
Right.
So you'd have to come back, and they'd have to come back and then do.
I have a question.
Re-amend, right? We would have to re-amend or make the amendment. Let's
For
say if they
Evans
got
Road.
removed
Yeah.
in the future, when we looked at it again, when that amendment came in, just, you know, hypothetically, if those were removed, we would have to just revise the
Yeah,
amendment.
we would do that when the
10.40.
second, when we do phase
The second
two,
study,
we'll be
okay.
looking at those ones that are on the bottom of the list.
So these are only existing, we're listing all the existing truck routes that will be standing as of now until we do the second portion.
Right, that's
Okay.
correct. That
Is
was
it-
what our scope of work was.
Is it safe to say, Candida, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that our focus at this point is because of the high development of warehouses in the area, we're focusing on this area right now specifically? Because I know there's been a lot of complaints because of the developments that are going up, and we needed to establish a truck route. And from what I see, and I understand the concerns, they're very valid, but from what I see, the concern is because there's so many warehouses in this area, and that's why we're focusing here first? Or is it just because it was just, the analysis is the one that told you to focus on this area first?
Well, this is the area where we have the most violators. So I'm not going to say that
Yes.
it's because of the warehouses
I agree.
themselves, but this is the places where we are citing people. And this is the place where there is frustration about the enforcement of it. And so for that reason, we're focusing on this area. So,
Thank you.
anyway, so I think,
So
are there any other questions?
to not drag, for clarification, then, you've designated on this parcel access map, because this is going to be the key to the map. You're taking out, you've already mentioned Ramon Expressway, you mentioned Perris Boulevard. It's the primary purpose, and this is really part one, or part A, because if we said that, we wouldn't have discussion. Because we know we have to come back and eliminate Evans Road, blah, 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 all this other stuff. So you're just putting it there because it's already in the code, so you can't change that, city council has to do it. So you can't change that without having to go through the process. So
Right.
we're trusting staff, too, to understand that don't come back here and say we're not going to change it because, we're going to have hell to pay here. So if these are the main designated routes. This is what's in the part one, part A, whatever you want to call it. But we're still going to have to revisit this because we have Ethernet, we've got Ellis, potential, hopefully not. We've got other streets that are questionable and some other things, but this is part of it because this is the most,
Okay.
what do you say, contiguous. This is the most issues. These are the most parking. And this is where all the development is. So I'm assuming they're going to have to come back with us.
For now, I
other
think
part.
because I see that once there's an established road in this area, in this north area of Paris, there's going to be an overflow to our southern friends, and we definitely want to make sure that they don't get that impact
Back
as well.
quickly.
Right.
So if it's done if there's going to be a soon evaluation of it, that won't take too much time, or that will be within a certain amount of time where it doesn't impact them and our roads and our communities, then I could definitely see that as something that I personally would be comfortable with.
Okay. All right. All right. Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Oh, I knew it.
Can't be that easy.
So Ramona Expressway is being removed, and on the western side of Ramona Expressway and Webster Avenue, there is one parcel that is not labeled on the parcel access map here, that doesn't have any direction of which way it's going.
Actually, I can go back. It does, that is part of the, that is designated, I believe, on the specific plan as well as in the circulation element. I think it's in both of those documents, and it was the decision to, because that area is not developed now, to let those designations stand at this time. So those are those will stay. So that on that eastern side. So, yeah. It's Harville and then the extension. So that segment of Ramona Expressway west of the freeway will remain.
Yeah, don't have an issue with that one.
Okay.
I'm talking about the parcel of land that serviced the warehouse that's on Webster and Ramona Expressway. How are they getting out? Because Webster is not listed as a,
Oh, no, but it is in an industrial neighborhood. So that's an industrial zoned property, and that would not be, the truck routes, we're looking at arterials and collectors.
Mr. Shively, can you answer
basically.
the question again? I maybe I can elaborate what's going on in Webster. What's your question? I didn't catch that.
Webster and Ramona Avenue.
Well,
according to this
Webster and
parcel
Ramona
map,
Avenue,
doesn't-
they would take Webster north.
Can you,
And
one
they would-
second, okay. Webster Avenue,
Webster
for example,
Avenue and
the
Ramona-
industrial project on the north side of Ramona, on the west side of Webster,
Mm-hmm.
there's no truck route that's allowed on Webster Avenue because there's single family on the east side of Webster Avenue.
Non-conforming single family, right?
They're legal conforming because when we went through the PVCC, they were adamant not to rezone their land. And so all projects that we have on Webster south of Markham Street, they're not allowed to use that as a truck route. So even what we call the Ferguson project on the west side of Webster, everything is funneled through Patterson Avenue.
But the,
Patterson Avenue is that,
It's in between,
yeah.
right up here.
So, yeah.
That's the one I remember this project, we vacated the road at that parcel. And then they're actually going along Patterson northbound, not directly following the freeway, but it goes up to Hardy Knox from Patterson.
that's correct.
Okay, it's just
So-
not really described here, but I understand it now.
And before we get too far, I just noticed one thing in the ordinance. We do need to remove number 10. Everything Placentia east of Perris Boulevard should not be a truck route. And I don't think it's anywhere else in the document. So I just want to make that correction before we get into public comments.
Placentia Avenue,
It doesn't show on this map.
number 10.
Not on the map, but on the ordinance, actually written description, I'm sorry.
From Placentia,
Oh, so it's.
Yeah, number
it
10
actually-
should read Placentia Avenue from Interstate 215 to Paris Boulevard.
Yes.
That's what it
to
should read.
Paris Boulevard, yes, it should. Okay. 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 So,
It threw me, that one threw me. So, I don't want to belabor that. Patterson is not a truck route, but they use Patterson. Because Ferguson, there's no other way to get out.
Correct.
So they're either going to go up Webster, or they're going to have to go out.
Yeah, even there's some areas that are not truck routes, but
You
we
have to
still
be-
allow them as long as they're running through industrial areas.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's how it would function.
But it is, if you go over there, it was vacated because of this property. When Ferguson was built, they had to vacate that street. They argue, but it's too bad. But it had to be vacated in order to put that property in there, but I didn't realize, I'd forgotten that they used Patterson. Well, technically, they used Patterson to go up to that way, and Patterson is a truck, used by trucks, even though it's not a truck route, so that makes sense.
Well, he vacated in the hopes of getting a hotel there.
Well, yeah, hotel. Anyway, any more questions for staff?
I do. So,
Go for
the limit was 5 tons. Do you know how much just the cab weighs? Would it be, and even according to the picture, so if it's a truck with no trailer, would it be okay for them to be on there, or is it just when they have a trailer?
if it was a truck with no trailer, it's all weight-based. So it would be, if
If it's just a
if-
cab?
If the cab didn't weigh 5 tons, then it wouldn't count.
Okay.
Are there trucks that weigh less than 5 tons without? Because where I see this going is we can allow truck drivers without haul to go into a residential area because it's under 5 tons. Am I hearing that correctly?
Well, 5 tons would be, is small enough so that it would not, it would probably weigh 5, you know, an empty truck would be 5 tons that had a trailer on the back of it. Now, the question about the cab, I'm not sure about.
I'm looking it up.
You're looking at,
Yeah. Because they weigh 35,000.
but perhaps the engineering department, do
It's
you have any information
17.5
on that?
tons without the trailer.
So the cab is,
The cab by itself is 35,000 pounds, and in tons, it is 17.5 tons. So we can have a bunch of cabs riding up and down Ramona, but you said that was a standard that,
that was the standard that was recommended, yes.
and I guess they're worried more about the streets and the pavement that they use and the kind of material. That's the main concern, right? Too.
Right,
And they can go faster than when than when they have a trailer attached.
yeah.
Okay.
But that is typically how we write these ordinances, is the
The 5 ton.
5 ton. So that is,
Was 3, so they had to go up to 5.
It was 3, now it's 5, yeah.
yeah.
And even,
And when you said that, you asked that question, I didn't know, but do you have anything?
I would have to use Google like everyone
That's
else.
what I did.
Okay, okay.
I don't
That's
know
what I
what they
was
were.
doing. I wasn't on my phone.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't prepared for how much of each part of the truck weighs. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, anyway.
Well, I have experience, so I'm like, wait, that just means that they can drop the trailer off somewhere and then ride up and down Ramona,
Right.
up and down Perris without the trailer.
That's a good point, because you have these hauler ones.
Yeah.
That have gravel or cement, or just the gravel, right? They have like just the rag top, I don't know what it's called in truck terms, but it covers, right, whatever they're hauling. And they're still going up and down. So even then, you know, we just want to make sure that we capture as much as possible.
As we can.
All right.
And so if we're on Ramona, you know, going further east, if there's a truck coming that way, I mean, is there indications before? Because that's no longer Perris. So technically a truck traveling westbound on Ramona from wherever.
Well, we're going to have signs.
Okay.
But
At
the
the
truck can
entrance to the
use
city.
the truck can use the on-ramp, northbound on-ramp at Ramona Expressway.
Yeah.
We've seen them. So you know how it says, welcome to the city of Perris as you're coming in on Ramona Expressway from San Jacinto? Welcome to Ramona, welcome to Perris, and make sure you drop your truck off, somewhere else, so. Or keep going and don't stop.
Close your eyes and go for it. Yeah.
And if we're talking about the trucks coming from the I-215 to Ramona, is that the trucks? Or are you talking about
The
trucks coming
opposite
from San
direction.
Jacinto?
Coming from San Jacinto.
Jacinto.
Just this morning, I was taking my girls to school, and I almost got hit. Well, not almost. I stopped. The recommended when your light turns green, you wait for a little bit, and the east-westbound light was red for a while, and a big rig just hauled going towards the 215 from San Jacinto. Had I gone when my light turned green, we would have been smashed.
Okay.
So I guess that was my question, coming from San Jacinto. I don't know if there's enough signage or if there's a way for them to go, or do we work with the city just to make sure, because they're using it like a thoroughfare to come to 215.
Yeah, I work in San Jacinto too, and what they want to do is have their trucks all go north on Sanderson up to I-10. That's their plan, up 79.
Okay.
And go that route to the freeway. They don't want them to go west on Ramona Expressway either.
Oh, okay.
But I got to double check and see what, they have truck routes also in their municipal code.
Yeah.
And see if Ramona Expressway is in there. I'll check.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Just because it was really scary. Had I really just not paused and looked, I would have been smashed, especially it was so foggy. I don't know if the truck even noticed their light was red for a while.
It's foggy due to the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary.
Okay.
So, I guess, we have limitations like the 5 tons, there is some wiggle room. But I think with having this set up, I really appreciate, I know this one, there was a lot of hard work gone into this. And do you know or foresee when we're gonna start working on the south portion? Is there a time frame to even begin
Would be
Right
a-
away.
the process?
Yeah, it'll be right away.
Oh, good.
Yes,
That's what I was
it's,
hoping to hear.
we'll try to get it as quickly as we can. My estimate is April to June, if that's, because there's a whole process, notification,
Yes.
traffic analysis. There's a whole list of analysis that has to get done to even take it back. So we just wanted to be realistic on the time frame.
And also, we will be adding routes. For example, Case Road is not in the municipal code. From, say, Ellis down to the interchange at 74, it's not in the municipal code, and it needs to be, and that's where IDI is going to be taking all their vehicles. So we have to add things, so that's even more work, and that's another reason why it wasn't included, that area.
Any more questions for staff at this time? Okay. Thank you for now. We're going to open up for public comment on this agenda item. The only thing would be Zoom. So it's a long shot. Is there somebody on Zoom waiting? Right. I guess not. Yeah. Well, I got to say it, right? And we're still in the computer.
Mr. Chair, if I may, you open the public hearing. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for public comment. Yeah. I didn't think it was public comment. That's why I was just kind of moving. Well, yeah. Shock me. Okay. At this time, then we bring it back for discussion with the planning commissioners. Either end on this item. So,
I can start.
of course.
Thank you. I want to first and foremost thank the staff for bringing this item today. I feel by looking at the maps, it was interesting to look at the different maps from 2008, then 2018, and to today, the changes that are being brought to us today to recommend for approval. There's been a lot of changes with those routes as much as we've seen the changes within the city itself. And so I'm just want to thank staff for listening to our comments when we are up here and we're expressing a concern for the community. I definitely, at first, I saw some truck routes that were on Evans to Ramona, and I was like, what? And then I noticed the changes. And so thank you for listening to our concerns, and I really hope that we can definitely take a look at the southern side of Perris as soon as possible, so that way we can also hear out our neighbors to the south and make sure that they're not being impacted too much by these changes. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez. Okay.
I also want to thank the staff for this. I know that you guys really took your time to look at the routes and see the flow of traffic and how important it is that the streets that we're using. I think you guys hit the nail on the head when it came with Ramona Expressway and Perris Boulevard. Yeah. That for sure is one of the most high traffic areas for the residents, especially. And yeah, I feel like it's gonna release a lot of congestion in that area, and it's gonna for sure bring a positive change to that to those streets. If this does get approved, I think it will do positive for the city.
Oh, she went. Okay.
I also want to say I think this was very long overdue for me. It was so interesting to see when it was adopted, and then when the changes were made, and even the most recent one was way before our city was anywhere close to where it's at now. So I think it was very needed. Appreciate that. It was very quick response from staff to go ahead and take this on. We know how much work goes into it. And I like that there is that provision for drop off and pick up, but most of the streets are on Perris Boulevard and Indian Street behind is mostly where they'll go through because that's where their docks are to deliver. So I'm really hoping that even those stores really encourage their drivers to take Indian and not Perris, even though they're doing a delivery. Really, really appreciate that. Ramona Expressway and Perris. are removed. I know there's high-risk areas for accidents. There are a lot of accidents on Ramona, and I'm hoping that by not having so many trucks on there, it'll help alleviate some of that. Especially with the streets closed in the mornings, I should take pictures. There's or have my daughter take pictures because I'm driving, but because that section, one of the lanes is closed because they're working. There are so many trucks on there. It took me like 15 minutes to get from, what is that street? Ramona and, oh my gosh, Ryder to Evans to go up to Ramona in the morning, and a lot of that was trucks. And you know, their start off is so slow. It took forever. It took me 15 minutes to get up there, which is normally a 7-minute drive because of the impact. So I'm really looking forward to having this implemented. I appreciate that there is some discretion. It's not a misdemeanor, which I think a lot of the police officers maybe were hesitant to cite somebody when they would have to go to court. And there was so much writing on a citation instead of now they have some flexibility just to really try to enforce a little bit more. So I like that flexibility for our enforcement.
Okay, I again finally appreciate the staff's work on it. I know this is some years in undertaking, but you move pretty fast. In the past, it would have taken a long time. 2008, in these years, I was around, and there was no idea whatsoever you were going to have this kind of retail and thing up there. It was talked about. John Houston, you kind of don't know who he is, but the person in this area who was kind of the economic impact czar back in the 2000s, that probably predates you guys. But that's the person that everybody, even we got beat up on, would talk about. That person would say, we're going to have retail in years. And, yeah, come on. It's 2005. But we have retail and we have e-commerce and all those things. And so since we're dependent on that to the north side, it's important to do the truck routes. I think the southern is going to be the most interesting. I'm using the word interesting. Volatile. The screaming's going to happen down there, but you have to start somewhere. Yes. I think the two, being a law enforcement background that I have, one of the things I think is important in here is the discretion of officers. Yes. Two things you have to have, and I'm putting this on the record, you have to have signs posted. Police officers, and I have a criminal justice background, must have a sign. I don't care what you say in ordinance, they have to see a sign. Big sign saying municipal code such and such is a violation, then they'll write tickets. They're not going to do it otherwise. They're just not going to. Second, the fact that you give them discretion, okay, to do it. You have to do a misdemeanor, well, I administrative review. Then if you can't find a person, it almost takes the code enforcement protocol. Now, if I can't get to you, if the owner of the company is JJ's or something, we're going to go to the owner. So you start writing notices to them. You know, we had a problem in LA in parking, and parking is a lot different. UPS and these guys, they say, it's a ticket, it's just a part of doing business. So we're going to ticket you 50 times. We don't care. The guy's going to pay it up top. What kind of attitude is that? You just, $50, they just took the ticket and did this because they knew it was going to UPS headquarters. You know, we don't want, I mean, that's not the attitude. It's that don't park at a hydrant. They just didn't care because they had enough money to pay it. That's not what we want to do here. We want to regulate the amount of traffic and those things that intermingle with the residential. So that's why you have these designated routes. Some of them, like Evans, were put in. I have no idea way back when. There was nothing over there. Maybe a few cows, maybe a few sheep, maybe a few goats, but there was nothing over there. So now it makes sense you have to remove those. But I appreciate you working on that. You're going to come back to us with this too. And obviously, and I think lastly, all three elements have to be put together. The specific plan, you have to have a circulation element, and it also matches your general plan. You can't do one in municipal code, not change the general plan. So they all have to jive, as we'd say in the black community. And if we don't have that, it's useless. Okay, so with the municipal code is where you have those, not the small little tiny parking enforcement signs, I mean gigantic signs. I had a funny idea too. We could put toll booths at the Ramona Expressway and charge every truck that comes in. But short of doing that, yeah, I know, I'm just joking. See, I knew the city attorney was going to give me that look. But short of charging and coming into the city, we want to welcome people in, but they also need to understand if you're coming from the outside, they need to understand that the cities and Moreno Valley as well and Menifee, to understand if you're going to come in the city, at least understand that these are designated areas with signs posted. Because truckers here may understand that, but ones you're coming in from the outside may not understand it. Lastly, you have to have pickup, people that do regular pickup services. If Stater Brothers is going to the store, they have to be able to drive there. You can't cite them. If I have construction projects and you have these trucks going in, they have to be able to drive to the location. So that's where the discretion comes in. You can't, oh, it's coming in here, but while I'm going to the site, hey, we said it's 5 tons or more. You have to have discretion. We take it for granted, but not the CHP, not the sheriffs. They want to write the tickets. Okay, so you'll have to have discretion. Whether administrative, you don't want to be going to court every 5 minutes because to get some guy for a $55 ticket. So I think that's what's important that was added here. And just the fact we're looking at it in detail is really the part of the victory. You know, so I appreciate it, the fact, and I know you're going to be away from us, so you won't have to have the headache anymore, Candida, in the future. I had enough of these guys. But we try not to be too bad, but we do ask a lot of questions because we're concerned, you know. And I know you have a lot on your plate, Kenneth, but you're going to still have a lot more on your plate. But this is a major issue. I mean, the truck routes are a major issue. And, you know, we've got to get a hold on that, or we're finished. You know, there's not going to be, you're going to go Ramona Express, and you don't want to be battling with trucks on Redlands and Ramona Express and have to make a left turn, and you're not sure if they're going to take you out. You know, you have to designate areas, and you don't want them to be residential and other. And that's one of the main reasons. So with that said, any more discussion? I can't imagine anything more after I just said.
You got it all.
Okay. All right, I will read this. We are recommending adoption of resolution number 21, oh gosh, all these numbers. Well, okay, 21-22, yeah. 21-05224, and, well, let me start at the beginning. Amendment 21 I was trying to keep from reading it. 21-05223, General Plan Amendment 21-05224, and specific Plan Amendment 21-05225, a proposal to comprehensively update the truck route designation and regulations in Municipal Code, General Plan, Perris Valley Commerce Center, specific plan to establish consistency and enforcement. And adopt resolution number 21-22, recommend the City Council adopt mitigated negative declaration 2634 and approve the following. We have this memorandum. There's no number, but anyway, memorandum November 17, 2021. There was one change in section 3, number 10.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh.
motion would include swapping out the ordinance that was in the
Okay.
packet with the ordinance from the memorandum.
Right.
And then further changing in the
Number 3.
ordinance provided in the memorandum under section 3 of the
Number 10.
ordinance, number 10, where it should read Placentia Avenue from Interstate 215 to, I believe it's Perris Boulevard.
Mhm.
And I believe that's the only changes that
Mhm.
we are to be making to the staff's recommendation.
Mhm. And we know Placentia will eventually get done, so. Okay, and that's this one dated November 17, 2021.
Right, and that's a recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council to adopt the ordinance
All
version
those
that we just talked about,
Mhm.
the General Plan Amendment number 21-05224, and specific Plan Amendment 21-05225, and obviously to also adopt the mitigated negative declaration 2364 as well.
Okay. Do we have a motion for this? We have a motion by Commissioner Gomez and a second by Commissioner Lopez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes?
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
The vote of 5 yes, this motion passes.
Moment of silence.
Thank you very much. Take a breather from that one. With that, we go to any business items. Item number 8. Are there any business items? Oh, okay. All right, number 9, public comments. Anyone who wishes to address the Planning Commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Please, wow, okay. And if there was someone who might be on Zoom, it would be, I just have to say it, at this time, you would just let us know, and I'm presuming there's no one on Zoom. Okay. And with that, we close the public comments and move on to commission members' announcements or reports. You can start either end.
Just want to start off by saying thank you to the staff for tonight's meeting. Thank you, Canada, for your presentation. And I want to congratulate Aldi's. The grand opening of the Aldi's is going to be tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it because of work, but for sure, I'll make a trip out there this weekend. Start preparing for the Thanksgiving dinner. My work. So the shop that I work at is doing collections for food drive. I know that the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of spots that are also doing collections. So if anyone has some food that they're willing to give out or is looking for food to collect for the holiday, I think there's a lot of resources out there that you could look for. Besides that, I just want to say have a good night and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Very much. Mr.
Oh, okay, my turn. Yes, I wanted to thank the city staff for bringing this test today. I'm actually, that when I started with the commission, this was definitely something that I really wanted to voice my opinion on coming on on board, and I know it's been years in the making, but I'm very happy to see that it's moving forward. Wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And before I go, just wanted to know if there's a way, and we can probably mention this earlier, but is there any way that our community can request this to be emailed to them? I'd really love it. The Perris progress. I have to come to. I don't mind coming to City Hall, but I do have to come to pick it up. If there's a way that I can get it online, that would be just wonderful. And thank you, everyone. And I'm so happy for Aldi coming in because that's definitely the store that I get all of the essentials. Any special stuff, I go outdoors, but somewhere else. But for essentials is definitely Aldi. So I'm glad to see them coming in to our store. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
And our next commissioner, Jimenez.
Thank you. Same, I'm super excited about Aldi coming in. I'm going to have to miss the grand opening because of work as well, but, I'm super excited. I know some of our commissioners will be there to represent all of us in supporting the forward movement with our city. I had the opportunity to attend the inauguration and ribbon cutting for the Veterans Day Memorial, and I wanted to commend Vice Chair Shively with the amazing work he did in designing that. And it was beautiful during the day, but I had the opportunity to see it at night, and it's just breathtaking. It really feels like it's really memorable and really acknowledging the sacrifices that have been made for our country. And to everybody that gets time off for Thanksgiving, enjoy it. I'm sure it's very well deserved. I know, I'm looking forward to a week off that's very needed. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody gets a chance to spend it with loved ones and enjoys the holiday.
Thank you. Vice Chair Shively.
So tonight's was one step in to make progress in resolving our issues with trucks on roads that they shouldn't really be on. But I hope in one day in the future many cities can get together and figure out how to really get trucks off their freeways during the daytime. That would be great. Perhaps they can even have an ordinance that they can only be on the freeways between 7 at night, 6 in the morning, or something silly like that. But so that way we have pedestrians and public traffic on during the daytime, and trucks on the evening would be something perhaps down in the future that might be what occurs. But I did too, and I actually enjoyed the veteran memorial there. I wasn't the architect of record of it, but I did the schematic design. And to me, I want to thank the city council and other members of the Veterans Memorial group that offered me to do the schematic design for it. And I'm always willing to give my time to organizations such as that to give back to the community. So I really enjoyed that, and I really felt that it went beyond my expectations of what my concept was. So I'm really impressed with it, and I'm glad that city and the veterans group put it together, and thank you for IBI to do that as well, and contribute a lot of the materials and time that they did to get it constructed.
Oh, I heard the sound. I didn't. Okay, okay. Thank you. I also want to put in for it was an excellent morning, excellent day. I got there at 6:10. It was dark, and and they were serving food. But hats off, this is a veteran city. I commend this city for representing and always honoring veterans. It's a beautiful, if you go over there, I was there in the morning, so I saw it probably first at 6:10 a.m. And I walked over and I said, wow, this is all lit up and it's beautiful. And had breakfast with some, talked for a lot. IDI I talked to a lot with. He couldn't stop him. He was but I really appreciate their donation and the community spirit. We can say what we want about corporations, but they really are hand in hand, and they just go out of their way. Really nice people. I couldn't get away from them, But down to earth. That's you say, oh, you got to be kidding, multi-million, but they didn't say none of that stuff. I want to talk to you. Let's go for it. Whatever you want. I got daughters and playing soccer, but we appreciate that because we need that in the city. It was a beautiful monument, beautiful design. I think I'll be there for the all day in the morning. I've been to several different openings even a Walmart opening when they opened. They didn't do it 7:45, but I was there for that opening, and you see the progress. Having been on this so long, you see the progress from the struggles from 2009, 10, 11, all those years when virtually nothing was going on, begging people to come here, and now you can't keep them away. And so we've come a long way from virtually, it was all residential in the early 2000s. Then it stopped. Then you started getting kind of that period of time where it was dead time. Then you started getting industrial. So what we're doing is we're just kind of making sure there's a balance in this community with residential, and we have adequate housing, we have clean streets, we have other things. So it's a little bit more aesthetic now than before. We just approved it because we just needed the money. And now we're doing it more we question things. I do appreciate seeing Stuart this time. Nothing wrong with John. Seeing both of you. We've got a lot of work to do on the southern part. Those people in the Monument Ranch are going to be in for a nice time. But we do appreciate that. And I think I do want to say lastly, there's two things. One, we're going to be working with IT, and I don't know if you want us to go through you or Sylvia about they're going to be doing these. I'm going to have a meeting with them on Monday to turn this in, so they want to give us the updated version. So even what you have now may not be updated. I said, geez. So they want to change that over, but they didn't want to do it tonight and have nothing in my hand. So they will be working with you, to do that. Also, the holiday parade or Christmas parade is on the 7th, 11th. So if there's anything we need, 10th, we're going to come to you. So if we need to talk, you're the director now, right? He's the boss, right? Mm-hmm. So we know you'll get it done, right? So we want to be, if you want to, I think we said we would like to be in. If you do, we're going to walk, of course. You're never going to give us.
Don't need a vehicle.
No, we walk, You give out the candies, and we don't take any envelopes from people. We just give out candies, okay? No secret envelopes under the table. We want ethics and training. Our city attorney will have a heart attack, right? But it's really fun to look at faces of people and be able to do it again because you miss people. We had to take a year off. Obviously, things were happening. But to see kids, to see, candy and all that, but just see people smiling and happy. They may not be happy with what we've done, but they're happy to get free candy. But yeah, so if anything we need to do, Kenneth, and let us know, or you want to, I don't know who runs that, who's over that. I think you said the chamber or something, but if you can be our intermediary, we would appreciate it. But we're walking, so we're not charging. So it's free, and we'll walk, so let us know. So with that, Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy. We won't be meeting till December. I'm sure he's going to have a meeting in December, and I think I know what it's about, too. but either way, enjoy that time off. We worked hard. You guys worked hard. We appreciate it. And have a good time. And with that, we go to the next one, the Director of Community Services. Reports and your information.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Hammond and members of the Planning Commission. Just want to rehash like the fact that Veterans Memorial was a huge success, and that was the byproduct of our Vice Chair Shively's contribution of his time, and just want to acknowledge IDI. They were the one who took charge and really got the volunteers and contributed financially to make that really happen. So I do want to acknowledge them for that. But I also want to mention, as you all said, Aldi. So that's an exciting new grocery store for the city. And so we're slowly getting all of these shopping uses, and it's the times are changing for Perris. So it's for greater and better things. And with that, just want to let you know, there's a group of us from the city who's going to go to what they call the Icsc Conference. It's an international conference of shopping centers. So one of our jobs there is to kind of recruit more retail businesses to the city. So hope us the best of luck to make that connection. Sometimes it takes years to build that connection for them to come into the city. So we'll be doing that in the beginning of December. Beyond that, just some upcoming activities at the city. You mentioned the Christmas parade, December 11th, but also there's the Christmas tree lighting, which is December 3rd, 6 p.m. here at the City Hall. So within the next week or two, you'll see the Christmas tree being set up and the decoration being put around the City Hall campus. So that's kind of exciting, seeing the festivities, and there'll be a skating ring out here in the next couple of weeks. So there'll be some exciting things for the community. Beyond that, we do have a meeting. We do plan to have 2 meetings in December. So the next one is December 1st. We do have a commercial use, I would just say it's a car wash, gas station. But the second thing is, I know that some of you wanted to update for code enforcement, so we'll bring that team in to do a presentation of what's going on in code enforcement and how that and what they do. So that'll be coming up for the December 1st meeting. Before that, just as you mentioned earlier, Thanksgiving's coming up, and again, it's a good time just to relax, spend time with friends, and just to remember how thankful we are, especially living in the U.S. We do have a great deal of freedom. We have a great deal of wealth here, and so it's a good time just to reflect and be thankful. With that said, I don't have any further comments.
And thank you, Ryan, for staying awake the whole time. Right? I mean, he tried. You have to wake him up every now and then, say something.
That's what the candy's for.
Yeah. That, unless there's any objection, I doubt very seriously. We move to adjournment. Do we really need a motion? I mean, we'll put names down if you want, but pretty much everybody agrees, unless you want to stay here all night. Okay. So anybody can move. It doesn't matter. Move seconded. Just put a name down. We're adjourned. And we'll see you in December. Wow, December. Wow.